Hi everyone. I kind of wanted to talk about something different today. I made this vlog channel, whatever you want to call it, for a few reasons. I enjoy watching so many different kinds of videos, whether it's funny or whether it's beauty gurus or weight loss vlogs or just regular people vlogs. And well, today I figured maybe you can get to know me and why I am the way I am now. So this video is going to be about my childhood and what led me up to where I am now, and I hope you stick around to watch it. So, I was born December 27th, 1990 in Key West, Florida. I do not remember anything about there at all. I moved to California with my parents when I was just a baby. And I grew up in California. But let's rewind a little bit. I remember as a younger girl, I did have a very, very hard childhood. My parents were drug addicts. They abused each other, neglected each other, but it's not just about the negative things in my life. I can remember the positives. We'd go camping, and I loved the outdoors as a little girl. I was actually called the golden child because I was so tan. I was always on my bike, I was always swimming, and I was always chubby then too, but I didn't care. I went out and did things that little kids did. But as I got older, I started realizing more so that my parents weren't like normal parents. Their location of using drugs was in the bathroom, so every time I'd go in there, I knew that when they came out, they'd be a different person. It wasn't a good way to live, but I feel like it did make me stronger in a way. When I was 8 years old, my mom said that she was pregnant with her third child. I already had a brother, and he's younger, so I'm the older child. I was really happy. I was thrilled, actually. I knew she was doing drugs with him. Any 8-year-old wouldn't have a clue, but I had to grow up. I had to, in a way, be my own parent. When my brother was born, he was so adorable, and gosh, I loved him. As days went on, I did kind of take the role of being a parent in a way. I still remember one time in particular, my parents were on so many drugs that they were like passed out. My baby brother was crying, and I wasn't sure why, so I went into the room of where they were, and it was because his crib was by a curtain, and the curtain string was wrapped around his neck. I will never forget that day as long as I live. Even now it's emotional for me. His face was purple, he was screaming and crying. I had to save his life. Then I realized that I don't think my parents will ever change. I was a 9-year-old. I was taking on the role of being a mother. One day when I was at school, I think 3rd or 4th grade, I got a call to the office. There were police there and I wasn't sure what was really happening, and come to find out, I was being put into foster care. I was being put into foster care with my one brother, but my little brother was being put into a separate home. After being in foster care for over a year, I was actually in a children's shelter for longer than that. I found out that my brother was actually going to be an adopted child. He was going to be put in closed adoption, which meant I would never be allowed to see him again. It broke my heart, and it still does. And it happened 12 years ago. In a way, I felt like my own child was being adopted. So it was just a hard time for me. After trying to accept it, I was thrown around into different foster homes and with my other brother, and soon we got separated. We were separated for a few years. It was very hard. A lot of the time I felt alone and just confused with life. When I turned 12, my parents finally decided to get their act together. We went to court and we had a 6-month trial to live with them. That trial turned into 2 years. But it was a failed trial. The whole time my family was just getting worse and worse. I started smoking marijuana. I turned to the wrong type of people. My brother started acting out. He started hitting me. My parents got worse. Their drug addiction went to a whole new level. We actually lived in a trailer. That's mainly what I lived. Whenever I lived with my parents, that's mainly where we lived. It was the smallest trailer ever. I never saw my dad, even though we were under the same roof. My parents actually got separated at this time, which was hard to handle. I guess it was best for them, but it was still hard. One day I was actually texting a friend and I told her that I wanted to die. and I didn't want to be alive anymore. Her mom found the text message, and her mom brought the text to my school, and I ended up being put in a mental hospital. I didn't think I needed it. I wasn't really gonna kill myself. I was just really depressed, and it was just, life was not going how I wanted it to. When I got that 6-month trial to be with my family again, I honestly thought that they were gonna change forever, but they didn't. Things got so much worse and I didn't know how to handle it. And saying I was going to die felt like the easiest answer. I was in the mental hospital for about 6 days, and obviously they diagnosed me with depression, which I already knew. I was diagnosed with depression since the age of 10. And I was taking antidepressants for I don't even know how long. But after I left the mental hospital, I took a whole new meaning of life because I saw people in there that were mental. I'm not trying to be mean in any way, but I don't think I was meant to be there, but it did change my life. Somewhere in my younger years, my mom did have another child, and I held him once, and she put him up for close adoption the day he was born. I know my 2 brothers are out there, and more than anything, I just hope that one day they can look at me and I can look at them and we know that we're family. I miss them every day. Even if I knew one brother longer than the other one, I love them both equally. More than anything, being able to see them again would mean the world to me. As everything got worse and worse within my life, my parents started taking more drugs. Even though my parents were separated, my mom was living down the street with her boyfriend in a different trailer. I was in class yet again, and I get called to the office about school. I never went. I didn't care about school. Things that were happening at home were ruining my education because that's all I thought about. I'd either miss school or I'd just not care. Like, I'd go and I wouldn't do any of the work. School was hard. I got made fun of every single day. The few friends I did have actually weren't my friends. They weren't. I mean, the way they treated me isn't how a friend should treat another friend. But every day I was bullied. I was the smelly kid. I was the fat girl. That's how people knew me. I was Fat Amber. Know how to handle it, but I just got bigger and bigger. But as I was in class one day, I got called to the office. The cops came, and yet again, me and my brother were being put into foster care. It was hard. That's the biggest word you can use for such an experience. Is it's hard. It's overwhelming and depressing. You don't know what to do when you're put into strangers' homes. You don't know what to do when you're put into a children's shelter. You kind of just have to go with the flow. It's like you're caged in. it's just hard. But this time was a little different. I was in the shelter for months, and I had this daily visit with my mom where I was allowed to spend the whole day with her, with my brother as well, once a week. We did that, and I was just texting my friend, simply joking, saying I should live with you because she was my best friend at the time. And little did I know, 2 months later I was living with her. It was absolutely insane. I don't know how it happened. It happened so quickly, and honestly, at the time, I thought this was beginning to a whole new life that I was gonna love every minute of. But I was definitely wrong. So after being put into several different foster homes with strangers, and even one foster home with my aunt, which clearly didn't work out, nothing worked. I was even in a group home for 2 years. When I was 10 and 11, that was when I was separated from my brother, and just nothing was working out. So when I had the opportunity to live with my best friend, I was so happy. But her and I became distant. I was still depressed. As much as I wanted to be happy, I was still inside depressed. I went through so much in my life. Things that I witnessed with my own eyes at such a young age was something that people who were 60 years old never even experienced. And it makes me stronger. But at the time, inside, I was weak. All I did was sleep. I just stayed in my bed and watched TV, and I ate and I ate and I ate. Food was my best friend. She noticed, and she didn't like being around me. Neither did my own brother. I was alone. It was hard to be alone again when you were alone your whole life. I really was. I was alone, and feeling alone when so many people around you is one of the worst feelings in the world. More than anything, I just wanted somebody, and that somebody turned out to be food again. I have to admit, after being pretty much tortured by her and my brother, I climbed my way up to being 420 pounds. And I will never forget that day when I weighed in and I was 420 pounds, and for some reason I feel like I even weighed more at one point. It was shocking, and people made fun of me still. I mean, we were almost 18 years old and I was being made fun of still. I mean, when do you grow up, honestly? It was just hard. When I turned 18, I moved to Oklahoma to be with some of my family. And yet again, I thought that was going to be a new beginning for me, and it didn't work, and I wanted it to so bad. Things were happening, and I actually had my first anxiety attack there, which was horrible, and pretty soon I was diagnosed with panic disorder, and it's just so much was happening, and my mom was still doing drugs because she was also living in Oklahoma at the time, and I knew my parents were never gonna change, and I wanted them to so bad, but they just weren't. And while I was in Oklahoma, I was in a long distance relationship. I was gonna go visit my girlfriend, and she lived in Arizona, so I went to go visit her, but while I was in Arizona, I was kicked out of Oklahoma. I got a text from my mom saying that my grandma did not want me living in her home, so I was stuck. I didn't know what to do. I stayed in Arizona. My girlfriend's mom did not want that at all. She hated me. So did her boyfriend. Several times he threatened to kill me. I was abused there a lot, several different ways. I slowly started falling out of love with my current girlfriend and realizing that the person I should be with was right before my eyes and I didn't even realize it. The current girlfriend I have now, her name is Crystal, and she's changed my life. One day in Arizona, I meet her online, and we just talk and talk. She's funny, she's silly, and she really lights up my world. Crystal would text all the time, and I mean, she didn't start lighting up my world right off the bat. We were just friends. She was just funny. My attention became more towards her and not so much towards my current girlfriend, because how I was treated by her and by her family, it rubbed me wrong and it wasn't right. I still remember the first time I ever told Crystal that I was in love with her. It was over the phone, and I was actually sitting outside of Dunkin' Donuts in like the middle of the night. I know, random. And then a few months later, her and her mom came and visited me, and it was incredible. The girlfriend I had then didn't approve of this, but I had to be honest with her that I was in love with somebody else. And as much as I wanted to try and work out the relationship I was in, I just knew it wasn't gonna happen. Things were falling apart, and things were falling together so perfectly with Crystal that I couldn't ignore it. one night, me and the current girlfriend got in a huge argument and I just couldn't deal. I finally just said, I'm done. I gave Crystal a call. Next morning, I was actually getting on a plane to be with her. Her parents paid, and I appreciate everything her parents have done for me. They're like parents I never had in a way. Yes, we have ups and downs, but doesn't anybody? I mean, that's part of life, to be able to have ups and downs but still know the true meaning of life, and that people are so kind if you really give them a chance. And I just appreciate them so much. And for the first time, I can really say that they have changed my life. Since I've been here, I've finally been urged to get healthy. I've been losing weight and I've been doing it because of them. If it wasn't for them, I'd weigh way more than 420 pounds, and I can tell you that right now. They have helped me in ways that I can't even express, and I appreciate them so much. And I love you, Crystal. I know you're watching this, and I just want you to know that I love you so much. You really do mean the world to me. So this is where I'm at now. I'm living with Crystal and her parents, and I'm really happy. In this video, I kind of just skimmed over like the gruesome parts. I didn't want to get into detail like my life too much. I kind of just wanted to give you guys a little idea of where I come from, because no matter what, where I come from is a huge story, and it will never be able to be expressed in a little short video. I feel better for kind of getting this off my chest, because it is good to know who is behind the video, and now you guys kind of do have an idea of who is behind this video. And through it all, I'm still me. And even though my parents are never gonna change, I'm 22 and they're still the way they were from day one. I know that I can be a better person. Whether my brother falls in their footsteps or not, I still love him too. And knowing that I can be stronger than to be like them makes me feel like I'm gonna be alright. I really am.